Hi YouTube. Well, as I said in my link, or my more info, I would read what I wrote to the World Press, and that means approximately 200 news channel newspapers, in hope of they will look into this, because we cannot allow this to be buried with a lie from the government. So this is what I wrote. I'm writing to you all on the behalf of the world and certain regions. I have evidence upon the Gulf oil spill disaster. As far as you all know, this oil spill is over. I'm afraid it's not over. This spill has been ongoing for at least a year more, and with huge consequences. I'm a Danish citizen living in the United States. I have been following this disaster from the very beginning. I lost my former channel on YouTube under the claim of copyright infringement. Problem is, I was too close to the truth. I had over 250 videos about the Gulf oil spill. I still do, but not uploaded to new channel. I presented the truth to people to make them aware of the size of this disaster. I have a little show called The Seven Geysers at Biloxi Dome, and I put a link in for that. But I'm afraid what I now have of evidence is far worse. The oil spill was planned and orchestrated, it seems like to be by the US Navy. They have punctured a 40-mile wide salt dome on purpose. They have punctured an ancient volcano, Biloxi Dome. I have attached evidence plus public files to this mail, and a few pictures as well. The oil is being kept down and out of sight from the public eye. Let me point out that in June 6, 2010, NOAA discovered a 22-mile long plume of oil drifting southwest inside the Gulf of Mexico at depths as 1,000 to 1,200 meters. I did a fictional calculation like this: 22 miles times 5 miles times 450 feet equals to the size 6 times of India, if spread out on a 1-inch thick layer. As I said, the oil is still gushing out and up to 100,000 psi. Question is, how much oil is in the Gulf now? We are writing 15th of December 2010. Now the oil has been gushing since February 23rd, 2010. You please do the math. Approximately 120,000 barrels of crude oil a day from February 23rd, 2010, and still ongoing. They have been suppressing the oil from surfacing with Corexit 9500. Corexit 9500 is 10 times more toxic than the crude oil, and mixed with oil the substance becomes lethal to all organic life. The Corexit mixed with oil penetrate organic cells and dissolve them. The oil and Corexit also have another side effect. It breaks down the thermal boundary between the cold and hot water, which we all know is driving the Gulf Stream, loop current. June 12, 2010, an Italian scientist announced that the Gulf Stream has stopped, linked below. This stalling of the Gulf Stream we now see the result of by extreme weather patterns, and now a deep freeze of the entire northern hemisphere. If you don't believe this claim, just ask a climate scientist or meteorologist. Even a decrease of a few degrees Celsius will have disastrous negative effect on our climate. Here comes the kicker. They did this with a specific purpose. The consequences are food shortage, starvation, and ultimately the collapse of the world economy and carbon tax. In simple words, this is a planned genocide and economic warfare at its worst. The aim is a one-world currency and depopulation. Two significant events has taken place this summer in Asia: the massive fire in Russia and the biblical flooding in Pakistan, the size of Italy. The northern hemisphere is no longer being fed with warm water from the Gulf Stream. The Gulf Stream is breaking off outside the coast of North Carolina, USA. This has disrupted the jet stream and made it surge further south, and even broken up in two pieces, one arm rushing over Russia and one rushing down over Pakistan. What we experienced was severe rain and drought, because of two extremes are clashing. I unfortunately bring myself in danger because this handing over of evidence. But the truth about the oil spill must come out, because we are all under threat due to the weather, pollution and food shortage. We now learn that BP, Transocean, Eni and Marinas are being put on trial for this disaster. But the US Navy walks free. No matter how the world is turning, these facts must be put into the public eye. We must never accept a military force running their own agenda with death toll, which is going to be vast. It is my plea to you that you look into this classified material and come to the agreement that you start speaking about this in the newspapers and on TV. I myself is available for speaking if you find it needed. I urge likewise not to turn in anger towards United States. It is not USA which is doing this to you. It is the military-industrial complex supported by criminals we have in good faith elected as our leaders. People in the Gulf region are suffering from sickness which is now being called the Blue Plague. Another issue is also they have added a synthetic microorganism to the ocean with a specific task to consume carbon composites, meaning anything organic. This oil, this corrects it, and now this synthetic organism is now in the Atlantic Ocean. If the Gulf Stream was still intact, as an example, one bucket of water is 74 days in reaching Norway from Florida Keys, United States, meaning from 23rd of February 2010 up to at least June 12, 2010, oil and corrected has been pumped by the Gulf Stream into the Atlantic Ocean. But with an ocean as the Gulf of Mexico filled with lethal toxins and still being polluted by nature, meaning oil, and man corrects it, there is every reason to take precautions when it comes to eating seafood. 20% of United States combined income comes from the Gulf of Mexico. Now the Gulf is a toxic soup of chemicals which is vastly found in their seafood now. EPA over here is still approving the seafood while knowing it's contaminated with oil corrected, and now this new computer-generated microchip organism, Cynthia, pose a serious risk to all. This organism has been invented by a guy called Dr. Venter. NB. Take water samples along the coastlines of Western Europe. I'm sure you can find traces of the components which is within the corrected 9500. At this moment there is over 27,000 oil wells abandoned or active in the Gulf of Mexico. The area they drill in is littered with salt domes and ancient volcanoes. They surface leased Sector 252, but bottom leased Block 296. 296 is below 252 on the grid, where the 40-mile wide salt dome exists. There are no margin for errors here. NOAA have in 2005 produced a complete survey of the entire seafloor of the Mexican Gulf. Experts who will look on these files must wonder how Biloxi Dome begot 7 leaks 7 miles from the official drill site, MC252. Also note the crust, the strata, is between 4 to 7 miles thick before the mantle is reached. On 2 drillings they drill 35,000 feet, that is 7.2 miles, and the other 37,500 feet, which is 7.8 miles, meaning both drillings they hit the mantle. The full consequence of those 2 drillings is not yet to be seen. I theorize that the new Madrid line will finally snap and divide the United States into 2 pieces. The salt domes in the Mexican Gulf is connected to a vast salt brine stretching far into the southern part of North America. See attached. Finally, I truly wish you will take this very serious. This disaster is done on purpose. One have to ask, Why are they dumping millions of gallons of corrected 9,500 into the water, along with antifreeze fluid? Oil and antifreeze fluid do not mix. Sincere, a deeply concerned world citizen.